Hello students, welcome to Learner's Planet. Let's continue with the chapter Improvement in Food Resources. Till now, we have studied about the improvement of food resources from the plant origin. In today's session, I'm going to discuss about the topic that is animal husbandry. And of course, we will study about that how the food resources from the animal origin can be improved. So here, the topic is animal husbandry. It is also known as animal farming and is defined as the branch of agriculture that deals with the scientific management of livestock. So, as I'm saying, the scientific management of livestock, that means it is related to the improvement of the animals which are reared or which are cultured in a particular area. Right, and this type of mechanism or this type of management program, it basically includes some different aspects which are something different from those which we have followed in the crop improvement program. In this case, that is in the animal husbandry, the special care is taken with respect to the feeding, that means the nutrition, then breeding, right, and the disease control of the domestic animals. Which domestic animals? Of course, those which can fulfill the basic human needs. The domestic animals, of course, they are those which can be cultured at home itself, right? Which are kept as a pet in the families. But here we are discussing about the husbandry. That means this is done at the large scale, and is the object is behind this is welfare of human beings, right? That means obtaining the products from these particular animals which can fulfill the basic human needs. Now, for this purpose, which type of animals must be raised? You must be having this idea, isn't it? So generally, the different animals that are raised in the animal husbandry, they are like cattle, goat, sheep, or poultry, right? Poultry or the fish, honeybees, and so on. Different types of animals, they are reared in the animal husbandry. See, depending upon the type of animal which is taken care in the animal husbandry, this animal husbandry or this practice is of different types. And what are they? They are, number one, cattle farming. As the name itself is suggesting, the cattle farming is related to the maintenance of cattle for milk and agricultural work. Then comes the poultry farming. In this case, there is the maintenance of fowl for the eggs and the chicken meat. Then comes the fish farming. Now this fish farming is, of course, it is for the fish production, and this fish is production is done for two different purposes, that is like the food products and the other medicinal or the economic products. Then comes the beekeeping, and usually this beekeeping is done for the honey and the wax production. It is a maintenance of honeybees for honey and the wax production. So here just 4 branches of this animal husbandry has been highlighted as per syllabus. So let us just study about each type in details. So this cattle farming, it is also known as the cattle husbandry. It is basically related to the raising of cattle. That means it is related to the scientific management of the raising of the cattle. And when this raising of cattle is considered, what all things will come under this particular point? Like rearing, right? Breeding, its nutrition, and the other facilities which are of course required for the growth of these cattle and the production of new babies and the different products or whatever is the purpose of for the raising. Right. So now the point is that what is the purpose behind raising the cattle? So that must be very much clear to you. It is number one, it is done for the milk production. Besides this, it is done for the agricultural work like tilling, irrigation in the fields, isn't it? Then comes the transportation. It is also used for the transportation purpose, like for the carting purpose. Camel carts, horse carts, then there are the bullock carts, and different types of carts or different animals are used for the transportation purpose. So now depending upon this purpose, these cattle, they are classified into two categories. What are these two categories? The first one is the dairy animals or the milch animals. Milch animals or dairy animals, they are those particular cattle or the animals which are reared for the milk production. Then the next category is the draught animals, and these draught animals are basically the organisms which are used for this dry work or for the power requiring work. We can say like that. So accordingly, that what type of organisms are raised in in this type of farms, they will require different. They will have different nutritional requirement and other requirements. So accordingly, the conditions should be maintained in such type of cattle farms. So now let us see that which animals or what type of animals are used for such purposes and how the improvement can be done for such purposes. So it is now dairy animals or the milch animals. They are defined as those animals which are raised in the cattle husbandry for the production of the milk. Now, if this particular property is mentioned here, that is production of milk, so the particular animal which is chosen for such purpose, they should have some peculiar features. And what are these features? Number one is that they should have the long lactation period. That means they should be able to secrete milk for a very long period of time. And second thing is that they should be resistant towards the diseases. They should have high tolerance power towards different types of diseases. If these two things are maintained in these particular breeds, definitely the improvement of milk production is possible. So usually for this purpose, the female organisms of different species or different breeds are cultured in such type of farms, which includes cows, buffaloes, camel, goat, sheep, and so on. Cow and buffaloes, they are much more common. So now the thing is that if we are saying that the animals have to be chosen, which animals are having such properties? That is an important point now. So now let us see that what breeds are used for such type of purposes. Well, this slide is showing the Indian breeds. Right, we are living in India. So this is actually highlighting the Indian breeds. The Indian breeds, they are also known as indigenous breeds or the local breeds. Now these local breeds or the Indian breeds, the specialty of these cows is that they are more resistant towards the diseases. Right, but the drawback is that they have the short lactation period. So the one of the purpose is sought out, but another is not fulfilled. If the cows are resistant enough, but they have the short lactation period, then there is no use of such cows, raising of such cows in the farms, isn't it? Well, such example, yeah, one more thing. If they have short lactation period, it does not mean that they are not providing the milk. Of course, they are providing the milk, but comparatively for the short period of time. The species or the breeds which are used, Indian species which are used for such purpose is like Sahiwal, Red Sindhi, Gir cows, and so on. There are many different cows. The pictures are shown here in the picture. Well, the next is the exotic breeds. That means the foreign breeds. So these foreign breeds, they are basically having a long lactation period, but they are quite less resistant towards the diseases. So now, of course, they are more susceptible to disease. So definitely the milk is also going to be affected if the cow is getting some disease, isn't it? But definitely the lactation period is good. The milk milk producing capacity is also very good. Right. The examples are like Holstein Friesian, Brown Swiss, Jersey, and so on. The pictures are shown here. Right. So from these points, one thing is very clear that the farmers, whatever type of animal they are culturing in their farms, right, they are rearing in their farms, some of the disadvantages will be over there. Either it is in terms of disease, resistance towards the disease, or it may be towards the milk production. So basically, these organisms, now they can be improved. I mean, the special breeds should be selected, or they should be improved in such a way that they are having the different types of quality, which can even increase the production of the milk, which can increase the lactation period in the organisms, and along with these 2 points, they are having good resistance power also. So, of course, the scientific management has provided the different types of facilities by which the new breeds can be obtained. And when the new breeds have to be obtained, some basic features or some basic these properties are planned, which should be preferred in the particular type of breed. So let me show you some of the properties which are selected in the improvement program. So such type of properties are: number one, tolerance towards the climatic conditions. Climatic conditions, like it may be temperature, it may be hot or cold conditions, then it may be the moisture, isn't it? Some basic physical conditions, whatever are exposed to the organisms, they should be able to tolerate it. Right, that is the very first important point. Then is the lactation period. Definitely, if the long lactation period is there, more and more milk is produced. Right. So accordingly, it should be improved if it is possible. Then comes the high yield of the produce. These animals, they are mainly produced or they are cultured for the milk. But besides this, they are even raised for the different purposes like meat, like leather, like wool, and so on. So it is not only the lactation period which is preferable here. Whatever product is obtained from these organisms, accordingly, the improvement program should be followed. So in short, the aim is to improve the product yield from the particular organisms growing in the farms. Then is the resistance towards the diseases. Of course, the animals or any living organisms, they can be attacked by different types of pathogens, and of course it is our own immune system which fights against the particular foreign agent. So they should have a good immune system, they should have the good resistance power to fight against such type of infections. Then the age of reproduction. This age of reproduction should not be too old. At the young stage itself. Now, of course, young stage means at a appropriate age, it's of course, but it should be quite young, right? So, the organism should be improved such that they can start producing, or they are capable of reproducing at an early age. That type of feature should be there in these particular organisms, so that product can be obtained at the young stage or the young age itself. Then comes the health. The organisms should be healthy. If they are healthy enough, the product obtained is going to be of good quality. Besides this, the physical appearance should also be considered. Physical appearance is actually an indication of good health also. So these are some basic points which should be considered while improving the particular type of breed, whether it is the Indian breed or any other type of breeds. Now, after knowing the aim behind these, the characters which are desired in the improved species, now let us understand that how this improvement is possible. So this improvement of cattle, it is done in two different ways. One is crossbreeding and the another one is the artificial insemination. Crossbreeding is basically it is a type of reproduction in which the different organisms, in fact the organisms from different breeds, right, they are allowed to meet with each other. In fact, male and female of different breeds, they are copulating with each other, and during this process, the male is going to donate its sperms to the female organism, and then inside the uterus, the fusion process, fusion of sperms and ovum will take place. Right. Now, since different breeds are involved in this type of reproduction, so the characters of both the organisms will be transmitted into the new organism. So the new organism which is going to be produced will be a hybrid which is having the particular features of two different breeds. Right. Now, definitely in these breeds, which particular features have been transmitted, according to that, the desirable one is to be selected. And once it is selected, then it is further maintained. So, in such process, uh, organisms with desirable traits are actually produced. For example, let me say, like in the case of cattle or milk producing organisms itself, milch animals, like there are two cows, right? As I said, the Indian cows, they are having good resistant power, right? And on the other hand, the foreign breeds, they are having good lactation period. So if the cows of these two different breeds, exotic and the Indian species, if they are allowed to reproduce together, what will happen? The new individual which is produced, they will have the characteristics of both the parents. But of course, it is not necessary that the one which we are desiring, only that is going to be transmitted, isn't it? Now, for that thing, of course, we need to follow the properties present in these organisms. That means whatever number of organisms are produced, the offsprings that are produced, the interested one or the desirable one is to be selected. And of course, then it is reared accordingly. So this is how the cattle could be produced, which is even having the good lactation period, as well as they are having good resistance power. So this is one of the example in the improvement of cattle. Another method of improvement is the artificial insemination. In this process, the semen is obtained from the male by the artificial means, and of course, the semen which has been collected here, it is injected into the female organism, and over there, the sperms which are transmitted, they will of course fuse with the ovum in the natural way, and the production will take place. So, of course, the semen of male which has been taken, they should be having the characters which are desirable in the next generation. So, accordingly, the organisms have to be selected. So, this table is actually showing some of the examples of the improved hybrids. See, the Indian cow, that is Sahiwal, and brown Swiss, a foreign cow. These two are interbred or they are crossbred, and the product which has been obtained is the currant Swiss. Another example is the currant fries, which is a hybrid produced from the Thaparkar and the Holstein Friesian cows. Right. Similarly, Sahiwal and Holstein Friesian, they crossbred, and the product obtained, in fact, the hybrid obtained is known as the Frieswald. So these are some of the examples of the improved hybrid cows which are having the good lactation period as well as the resistance power. So it is not only the improvement program which can increase the production of the various materials from these animals growing here. Besides this, the management should be proper with respect to the shelter where these organisms are grown, as well as the health has to be maintained. So next thing that we should consider while studying the animal husbandry is the management. So now let us see that what type of management is required which can improve the production of the different food products from these particular animals. So now here we are discussing only about the cattle. Further we will study accordingly. So here is the management of cattle husbandry, and here we are going to discuss about this point with respect to the cattle for the production of milk. Of course, they are grown for other purposes also, but here we are going to consider about these basic points. Right. So, management in this case is related to the maintenance of shelter of the cattle and their health. And for this purpose, the surroundings should be clean, they should be kept clean, and if the cleanliness is maintained, the health is also going to be maintained. And if the good health is maintained, definitely the production of milk is going to be improved. So the two things are coming here, that is the shelter and the health. So regarding shelter, I can say that the basic features should be there in this in the area where these organisms are cultured or where they are reared, right? So first thing is that it should be spacious. Second is related to the hygienic conditions, then the build-up of the floor and the walls, then ventilation, and of course the cleanliness. So these basic points, timely cleanliness, okay. So these basic points, they should be maintained, and how and what type of requirement is there for the cattle development, that we will discuss further. Before that, if we consider the health, then regarding this, the two things are there which will come in front of us so as to maintain the cattle, and that is number one is related to the nutrition, that means the food which is provided to these organisms, right? And second is the disease control, that is protection from the diseases. So if it is nutrition, again the nutrition is specific, right? Specific with respect to the maintenance of the body structure, and second is for the production of the milk. So in which phase these organisms are, according to that the nutrition should be given. Not only this, the male organisms of these cattle are usually used as the draught animals, right? So if they are the male organisms, then what type of nutrition should be given to them, that all thing has to be managed and decided well enough. So let us discuss that what type of shelter is required for such type of animals. So students, the shelter of the cattle, it should be maintained in a very well manner. It is like it should be well ventilated, it should be kept clean, and moreover, the important conditions which are favorable for the survival of these species in different seasons, they should be maintained over there. And if such conditions are followed, definitely the growth, the development of these organisms will be good enough, and the product yield is going to be improved. So while constructing such type of sites or such cattle farms, some basic points should be considered. So let us just have a look over this. So the very first point is that the shelter should be spacious. There should be a good area in which the organisms are maintained. Usually for cows, a little bit less area is required as compared to the buffaloes. But of course, whether it is a cow or a buffalo, a proper required area should be present so that they can move around properly. Besides this, the shelter, it should be covered with the shed, and this is required so as to protect these organisms from the varying conditions or the varying climatic conditions, like from heat or cold or the rainwater and so on. So to protect from all these features or the factors, a proper shading should be maintained. Besides this, the floor should be brick lined. Now brick lining should be there, and secondly it should be slopy. Now these two things are required so as to maintain the cleanliness. You know how? Because if the structure is brick lined and it is slopy, the flow of waste would be proper. And if this waste is flowing away in a proper manner, the area is going to be dry properly, right? See, basically these organisms, they are of course excreting out the waste at a particular time. Now of course they're animals, they're not going to washroom for the proper for these things and all, isn't it? So whatever waste is generated by these organisms, it should flow away from the site. And it is possible if the structure or the floor is maintained smooth, or it is brick lined, and secondly if it is slopy. Besides that, the facility should be there by which manually the surface is washed and cleaned properly. And of course, while such type of process, the area should be kept dry. And such condition, such cleanliness condition is of course favorable for the health of the organisms. Besides this, a proper arrangement should be there for the hygienic disposal of the animal excreta. Now this excreta definitely it can be actually stored in the pits and different areas, and over there it could be used for the biogas or the manure production also. So that depends of course on the farmer's choice, but of course this is one of the advantage which is or it is a benefit which can be obtained from the waste also. So this was actually not only provide the manure, it will not only provide the fuel, but also it will protect the environment from the pollution. Then the thing is, the shelter, it should be kept neat and clean, and besides this, the animals, they should also be kept clean. If the see the animals they actually they are having dirt over their skin, they are having the loose hair which fall off in the surrounding area, and if such thing is taking place, definitely the shelter it should be wiped off properly, right? Second thing is that even these animals, they also require the regular brushing so as to remove this dirt and the loose hairs from their body, and therefore this regular cleaning should be maintained in the cattle farms. Then the cross ventilation, it is very important and is really required for the growth of the organisms, for the good health of the organisms. This ventilation, if the proper ventilation is there, the air will be it will be present over there properly, right? And this will provide the good oxygen, good amount of oxygen, and also it will remove the foul air from the surroundings, isn't it? And when such conditions are maintained, good health is of course supported. After that, there should be a proper feeding passage and a feeding trough in the shelter, so as to provide the nutrition to the organisms and to avoid the spillage over the ground, right? So again it is it is supporting the two things. One is the health of the organism and second is the cleanliness. These are some basic points related to the shelter. Now as the feeding point has come, now the next thing is that what type of feed is required by these organisms. Proper calculated nutrients should be provided to them at a regular timing, so as to improve their health as well as the production of the milk and other products. So what type of nutrients are to be given? Let us study that. So this nutrition management, it includes the nutrition which is provided to the dairy animals. And while planning for such nutritional requirements, there are two things which are considered. One is the health of the organism, and second is the milk production, right? So basically the maintenance of health requires different type of food material, and the milk production, it requires some different type of nutrients, and accordingly the management should be there so that the organism's health is maintained, as well as the milk production is increased during the lactation period. So this nutrition program or the nutrition management should be well planned. Now the point is that what type of nutrients are required for the health maintenance or for the milk production, isn't it? So let us understand that point now. So these animals, they need the particular type of food in which the various components should be present essentially. The first part is the roughage. Roughage, it means fiber rich diet. The roughage or the fiber rich diet, it basically provides the fiber which is required for the well functioning of the digestive system in these organisms, right? And besides this, the roughage or these fibers, they are having hemicellulose. So these type of carbohydrates, they actually provide the good source of energy. They provide good raw materials for different type of metabolic activities. Now which type of product will which is considered as the roughage? It includes like fodder, or I can say like berseem or sorghum, hay, straw, and so on. So such type of material is actually known as a roughage, which is of course rich in fiber and is required so as to maintain the health of the organism. Right. Next point is the concentrate. Now these concentrates, they are actually rich in the nutrients like carbohydrates, proteins, fats, minerals, vitamins, and so on. And of course such type of nutrient elements, they are required for the proper growth and growth of the organisms as well as the maintenance of their health. uh, and which type of products are rich in such type of components, or which food is given for such purpose? It includes like cotton seeds, oats, barley, sorghum, rice bran, and so on. Right. Next is the additives. Now these additives, they are the special elements which are added in the feed of the organisms, and they are rich in the micronutrients and the macronutrients. So the specific elements are given in the form of the additives to the animals. And these additives, they are basically required for the better production of the milk in terms of its quantity and its quality, of course. And which type of additives are usually added in the regular diet of the organisms for this purpose? It is like calcium, phosphorus, potassium, sodium, or other essential nutrients which can increase the production of the milk, of course. Right. So this is how the animal feed is actually planned for the dairy animals. Now, for the draught animals or the other type of animals, the different types of animal feed or the nutrients should be planned. Well, this is related to the health of these organisms, right? Now, the next thing that should be considered is related to the protection from the disease, right? So, let us see that how this disease can be controlled. To understand this point, first of all, I must say that what type of different diseases are present in these cattle. I mean, what type of how these cattle can suffer from different types of diseases. So generally, they are infected, right, by the different types of microbes, or even they can be affected by the parasites. Now these parasites, they can be multicellular or the simple unicellular. Well, what are the parasites? Parasites are those organisms which obtain their own food from other host animals. Right. So these parasites, they obtain their food from these cattle, and ultimately they causes diseases in them. Now it is possible it can be caused either like parasites, they can grow either over the skin only, or they can be internal. That means they can enter the internal system. Right. So these external parasites, as they live only on the skin, so they usually causes the skin disease in these particular organisms. Whereas the internal parasites, as they are entering inside the system, whether it is blood or the alimentary canal or different particular system in the animals, so over there they cause the effect according to the site where they are present. It usually includes the worms, and they affect the stomach and intestine of these animals. Whereas some examples are like flukes, which can actually damage the liver. So common examples of such parasites are like fleas, mites. These are the external parasites. Then ascaris, which is the internal parasite. Ultimately, they are causing the disease in the organism. And when the organism is having any type of disease, its health is affected definitely. Besides that, the lactation process is also affected. The milk production capacity is also affected. For the infectious diseases, commonly they are caused by bacteria or the virus or the fungus and so on. The common example is the one caused by the anthrax, right? The another one is the foot and mouth disease. So the picture is shown here for this is the foot and mouth disease in these organisms, right? So ultimately, these diseases can be caused by different types of organisms, and to prevent these organisms, some measures should be taken. and by this particular thing, definitely the improvement of production of food items can be done. So the best prevention for such control is number one, the vaccination. There are different animal vaccination programs for the farm animals, and that should be given to these animals at a regular interval. Such vaccinations are generally for the these major viral and bacterial diseases, right? Besides this, the next prevention by which the health can be controlled, diseases can be controlled, is the cleanliness. The surroundings should be kept clean. These organisms, the infection by these organisms should be controlled. The growth of such organisms in the nearby area or in the shelter, it should be controlled. So if this hygienic condition is maintained, definitely up to a particular extent, up to a particular limit, the diseases can also be controlled. So this is how the cattle farming is done, and the measures are taken so as to maintain these organisms and improve the production of particular product from them, right? Especially the milk in this particular case. Next we will start with the next type of farming, animal husbandry, and that we will continue in the next session. So till then, thank you so much. Have a nice day. Goodbye.